debt coverage ratio or debt service coverage ratio. You're going to hear this in multifamily, so I want to go ahead and take a few minutes just to explain what this is and what it means to you, right? So what debt service coverage ratio is, it is a ratio of the total amount of money a property makes minus its expenses, which becomes the net operating income, right? So your total income after expenses, and that gets divided by the total debt service, right? Which is all the mortgage payments, mortgage and interest combined, divided. So for an example, if a property made $125,000 a year total, and the debt service was $100,000, you would divide that $125,000 by the $100,000, giving you a total of 1.25. All right, so that's easy math, and it's what you want to know because lenders want to make sure that the capital they loan on multifamily investments is protected. So the industry standard is 1.25, meaning that they don't want to loan out more than 1.25% of the amount of income that a property has. So in our example, $125,000 is the net operating income. Then the debt coverage ratio or the maximum loan proceeds for that year that a bank will want to loan on will be $100,000, right? So they don't want to give you more than $100,000 in debt. So what happens if you are underneath that, right? If you don't have that ratio working out to 1.25, what happens is the bank will cut your loan proceeds, right? So meaning, let's say $100,000 in yearly mortgage payments, just to make the math easy, that worked out to $1 million loan, right? So the bank's going to loan you $1 million, and for you to pay that $1 million back, it's going to be $100,000 over the course of a year, right? At a 1.25 debt coverage ratio. But let's say, for instance, they look at your numbers and you don't have $125,000 or a 1.25 ratio. Well, then the bank, instead of loaning you $1 million, they'll still give you a loan on the property, but that loan may be for $950,000 now, right? They still want to make sure that you are underneath that because they want their capital preserved. So if that was too in depth for anybody, don't worry about it. Just understand that it is a ratio that the bank uses about the total monthly payments or the total yearly payments that a bank receives, and that is the denominator that is divided by the total amount of money that a property has to pay, right? So after you take in all the income minus all the expenses, you have that number, and then you divide that by your total mortgage, and that gives you the debt service coverage ratio. If that number is underneath 1.25, what the bank would do is they'll come down on the amount of loan that they will have. So why this is important is as you're going to do deals and some of the prices just keep going higher and higher and higher, right? What you'll find is you'll go to a loan officer and they say, hey, this property doesn't have the financials to support this amount of loan, right? Because remember, multifamily, they're looking at the property first and then the operator second. So that can happen, that can come up. So I just want you to know what it is. But if it's too much, just always be in constant communication with your loan officer because they're going to know this stuff like the back of their hand. And they're going to communicate it to you, right? So what you want to do is make sure that you've got your property and your financials in front of your lender early and often so that you don't get any constraints like that where they cut your proceeds, because that can hurt you significantly if you go out for a deal thinking that you want to get, $1 million and then maybe you only get 980,000 or 900,000, whatever it is, right? You understand. So hopefully you found that valuable. If you got any questions about that, drop a comment below. I'll try to clarify. It is a rather difficult concept to talk about without numbers and graphs. Maybe I'll get that later, right? I still got to get my game up when it comes to putting out educational videos, but hopefully they're helpful. I will see you in the next one, and make it a great day on purpose. Take care.